Alright, hello, welcome to Charter Conductor Mailroom. We're working on a locomotive design that I've designed. And we're going to sit right down here and go over the electro schematics. Like I've shown you before, this is the central trafficking notches. We're going to do another book here, another book here. We're going to put two books together in front and reverse for the double-headed cab. And we'll get to all this on the slang on the bed. Alright, this is my control, locomotive electrical control and parts. And then it skips into this. Well, you saw the first video. In this blue book, what we did, this is your front head cab. I took notes and I drew out electro schematic, which shows their, it kind of looks like this. And they look like that, but I labeled them onto the controls. This one's blank. There's a lot of blank ones. This one's an S series. These would be the control panels just behind the locomotive controls. So we'll go over the controls. All right. Let me close the blue book. It was in the yellow book, but now I put it in a blue folder because the binding has been screwed up. So here we have the zone, which is no longer important because we have, this is their own, a different locomotive schematic. So I've labeled them all the way across the floor plan. And having trouble finding my marker. When we zone the headlight, let's just put A1. We'll just draw a little. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna draw a little circle and then a circle above it and then assign it its number. The sanding switch is gonna be on the front headlight, front and back one. There's gonna be auxiliary air and it's gonna pour under my sand traps. I haven't drawn any sand traps yet, so this one's not gonna be marked. But as you can see, here we have a list of schematic symbols, and we're on rotary switches. The headlight has a rotary switch, front and back headlight 1, 2, sand switch, push button switch. So here we go. Here's a look at the headlight part, and then the headlight resistor generator field. The resistors in the headlights, and the resistors in the generator field, shows those up there. Your switches, you're going to see a lot of these because this is the control parts. This is the control parts video. Then you have, you got a rotary switch, and then a toggle switch. And then your sand control this is a sanding switch. So of course I added a sand control valve. Alright, your FC series. Up here is your ammeter, which will be zoned out different. I'm gonna label these different. Your headlight switches, which are labeled on a different period. But going back to the ammeter, we have the shunt ammeter right here. Then the gauge light resistors, because we have the rate that's up front in the control panel. Once again, I showed you the headlight symbol. Then you have what lights you did have will be the main lights right here going down. I wrote them on a different page. Your main reserve, brake pressure light, pneumatic control switch, slip. SLP light, headlight, engine oil pressure, fuel pump light, and ground. And then we'll move on to the next page. I've kind of divided them. Those goes to the engine receptacles, such as the oil pressure and some of the other ones, fuel pressure and cutoff switch. Here we have a throttle solenoid, headlights again, engine, 64 volt DC. And then I'm going to take these, when I zone them out, these are going to be the station letters, and they're going to go, I'm going to fold them on the corners and write one on that way and then two on this way. So it's going to have zone whatever, say headlight, and then the cabinet control, and then all these different wires on the side that go, well, these two zones, in between two zones instead of one. I'm sorry I picked that out like with a headlight. That's DC because alright, so you have your throttle solenoid abbreviations, engine emergency stop switch, and then we'll flip through this, like, just to get you to look at the controls. Here we have the emergency fuel solenoid, your control mechanism, which would be your throttle controls, your headlamps, your switches. It's kind of hard to flip through these pages, take your time. Alright, then we move on to the next control panel. You have your pressure cutout switch, your bell, wheel slip relay, emergency sand, relay, wheel slip resistors. And then that comes with a part list for the braking system, wheel resistor, slip relay. Alright, here's your control mechanisms. This is what the control mechanisms look like. You have your switch magnetic reverser. So these are up here, maybe two on each side, but maybe not the double throttle sticks in the front, just one in the front and one in the back. Saves air compartment training. Well, I got maybe on a different train. I might draw one of that in the cab. Switch magnetic reverser. Then we move back to. Alright, these are the lights for the resistors. These have resistors, rheostats, and then sand valve, front sand valve, rear sand valve. And here's your sand control valve, and then did I put a sand control valve in for the wheel slip relay? I'm not sure. Control mechanism again. Lights, as you can see, that's a headlight indicator, so you have your lights that indicate on the control stand. Alright, throttles 1 through 8. Back to this book right here. This is the schematic for throttle 1, 2, 8, central control trafficking. Once again, we have the double switch, and then on the outside would be a single switch, so you can shut one. You can shut one off. You can shut off the central trafficking whenever you want. You have your reverser forward, reverser backwards. We went over some of the reversers and the control mechanisms. Control mechanisms, once again, I'm pretty sure I copied most of these double for each one. Like, you might see lights or switch or resistors again. Throttle. Reverser shown in the forward position. And then I'd put zone here, zone there. And then I'd run the zone in abbreviation, what part it was to that part in between two zones. Control mechanism. Zones are up here on the side of the plan. Then we'll get to motors, bells, battery voltmeter, wheel slip light, ground light, serving meter, cowling light switch, engine temperature switch. Like I said, it'll probably show an engine receptacle on this one, but we got the lights for the cab, so you got your gauge lights and stuff in there. Knife switches. A double would have like a switch, but then the back would touch this back when you go in. And then this one's upside down. This is more switches, but it's upside down. Another nice switch. You get your light indicators like I promised. This is your ammeter battering charging shunt. which can easily be added to. These are retarders for a track, but I cut them out, and I explained how that's a cabinet in the other video. Shunt load ammeter. Alright. I hopefully just get through this blue book, and then I'm going to explain the rest of it, like how we're going to work out. Isolation switches, power contactors, engine run relay. And then we're gonna do a dead man pedal, but it's gonna lock, so you don't have to step on it all the time. And then switches. I also have an independent brake pedal that I'm gonna put in on mine. So we have a contactor power, circuit breakers again, because a resistor generator field. Then over here you have fuses. Here's what the fuses look like. Here's more fuses. Alright, here we have resistor and a battery field contactor, and then terminal boards. So here's your contactor, battery field, shunt field view. Your terminal boards. Yeah. You can go back to the card trick video or any of the other ones that were previously done, and I explain how I'm going to do an open card trick with capacitors and resistors to troubleshoot when electrical parts fail. Contactor, battery field, shunt contactor. Start on a different one. This one's a ground relay. And then it goes down here. And then you have an optical flashlights. And then shunt field contactor on the top in that cabinet. So this is the cabinet. So they're going to the cabinet, and here's the push button switch. Notice this is the terminal boards again. And then over here will be your field, shunt, contact, resistor, contactor, battery, field. So here's the actually part of the battery and the shunt field contactor. And your relay ground, following the control parts on which control part that is. We had cabinets front and back. This is the middle the front three cabinets. You have a closed down relay and more panels. So you have your panel, transition panel, and then more transition panel because there's two. And then we move on to the back, which is here's the next throttle stand on the back side. Once again, we'll go over isolation switches for the motors. Those go to the traction motors. So I go over here and I put a number C2 and A1, and then for A, B, and C, like A1, A2, C, and like run it to the next one. The ground set relay switches, starter switch, these are push button switches, fuel pump reset. This goes over the headlights again because now we're controlling it from the back. So the bell's got to run from the front to the back. The headlights got to run to the front to the back. The isolation switch got to run from all four motors. The start switch has got to start, or it can be independent from one and the other. And then ground reset button, and also the fuel pump reset have to be reset would have to be maybe in both cabinets. Ground reset, one, so you don't have to walk to the back. And then indicator lights. So we had I don't know if you know anything about drafting, but these little circles with X symbolize lights, and those are on the system, the control panel. So this would be indicator light, and then your switches, once again, like your fuel pump set, ground relay switch, starter switch, and that comes in 2 sheets. Then we have your ammeter, we went over that. Your headlight switch like in the front, and then circuit breakers signed with CB, and they have a little arc over them. And then your this is not labeled, but if I had to take a joke, isolation switches or rheostat, something. I'd have to look up that. More circuit breakers on the other box in the other control cabinet. So you have your ammeter, battery charging shunt, switches, circuit breakers, headlamps, engine room step lights. We're almost through this, and then I'll explain the game. The board, well, it's more like a game, I guess, a board game than my flashcard video game, which is just a joke. Like, but yeah, maybe if your kids are intelligent. And then we have emergency step lights, right and left, RSAF. This is a then reverser relay, forward relay, and throttle solenoids. Once again, another throttle is going to be another book. Mirror. This is flipped, mirrored, and then flipped one, reversed. Also, they link up in a box, you know, like. And then here's your contactor power contactor, switch magnet reverser. That comes in 2 pages. That's part of the controls, switches. You can catch some of my assembly drawings, like things that I'm not going to draw, on the webpage. Like these things, like I'm not going to draw a switch for, like I'm not going to change the controls. There's what they call Thomas registry. Maybe the control cabinets, but the control stands pretty much stay the same, except for the lighting and reset buttons and stuff like that can be installed later. Here's the throttle once again on the right, which is in this little box right here. And then you have your reverser forward, reverser 1, 2, wheel slip relay, push button switch, switches, and power contactor brake. Then we go back to the power contactor. I don't know how many times I labeled it. I tried to take my time. I should have done it in one shot. Switch magnetic reverser. Like I said, switches. Like I said, this is going to be repetitive, but just to like make sure that I got a picture for each different stand, like part of the control that I marked already. And here's your relay, wheel slip in the back. And then here's what we did. We took our tracing wire schematics, blew them up, cut them into pieces into organized group. So this one right here shows the main generator field, excitation motor field, differentials and stuff. But this also runs the battery. So if I put this right here, then I can put a battery right here when my original drawing and a red battery right there. And so what does the main generator field look like? Well, you got the main generator field, and then you have an excitation differential, motor here, motor here, motor here. And we'll come back to this. But yeah, what we did is we cut them up into pieces of paper. Each different schematic has its own cards cut up. So you can lay them on individually onto the game board, or the zoning board, should I say. And then we took the marker. Hold on for a second. Just kind of had to grab this out of my hand. And we took this is single, this is double. We marked we go to, where did it go? Alright, we went back to the old wiring schematic, and now we use the list, which is A to Z. We go through each part. We identify the ammeter, which is, sure, I'll just draw on this one real quick. All right, your gauge, battery, ammeter. So we put AM1, AM2, and then we'd, since AM, the load ammeter, the load meter would either have one, it would only be one zone, and we go down through here, and we cross out the page because it's not going to matter. We ain't doing a schematic cabinet, and then we pick a new zone, and we intelliate it there. Okay, what else? These are completed tracing diagrams. They're just expressions. Some people write them different. So we're going to build some, what we're going to do is, this is about, I'm just going to like stack them. If you hold this pad, we'll go double, it takes 2 to fill up 1 page. But I'm going to run with it, and we're going to come up with something like, where did I set it? Well, I have one piece of paper that's missing. Yeah. So we blew these up, we blew the schematics up, and we cut them out. And, where'd it go? Alright, I decided to do this on a flip. So I like to draw in box style. So right here's a box style of the back control panel, power contactors, and then the traction motor, and the main generators going to the engine room, and then up through here, throttles and reversers. So what we will, and then they get labeled in their zones, and we label them on that. And we'll just draw up some schematics in the meantime, and then we'll come back and we'll show you this double motor instead of a single motor. There's your old steam idea. Let's get a move on it. Thank you. My name's Adam. I hope you enjoyed this video. There'll be more. All right, goodbye.